Warning, the following video is not intended for younger audiences. Strong language is used throughout and is not suited for children under the age of 13. Viewer discretion is advised. Most of us have that one game in our collections where it's really gone unknown to the general public of gaming. You know the ones. The ones that you get at a really young age because you don't really know any better, and when you play it, you just get filled with an emptiness of dissatisfaction and disappointment. Well, for me, that game was Bust-A-Bloc, Bust-A-Bloc for the PS2. If you have no clue what Breakout is, give it a quick Google search and you'll understand the general concept quite easily. Use a rectangle to influence the movement of a circle to remove other rectangles to win. That's Breakout, an addictive arcade classic. Come October 2003, Bust-A-Bloc was released, published by Midas Interactive, and I'd give more information about it, but this game is so obscure it doesn't even have a Wikipedia page. Yeah, that's the level of obscurity we're dealing with today, everyone. So, let's bust into this game and see what it has to offer. Get it, because it's called Bust-A-Bloc, and entering something can also mean busting into some. Fuck, this joke is going nowhere, is it? For fuck's sake, am I really doing this? Well, I mean, I can't just review this game myself, so I suppose I am. And here's the title screen. It's weak, it's bland, and overall it's definitely not a good first impression and not a good sign of things to come. The menu itself has a whole lot more personality, however, and gives us a decent list of gameplay options and is presented in such a clean way, for lack of a better term. There's a versus mode for 2-player competitive, but if you know me in real life, I'm an absolutely pathetic twat at convincing people to play games with me, so to me that's never going to happen. There's also an endless mode where you have to see how long you can last, rather basic stuff here, and an attack mode, which is the main campaign, so let's go with that one. Choosing attack mode presents us with a stage select split into 3 different tiers, and since level 1 is the only tier available to us at the moment, let's pick the only stage we can, Jungle. How fucking creative. Okay. I'll try and stop being so negative. I'll throw those pessimistic vibes out the window, and just press on. Next we're given the choice to select a paddle. Oh. Well, it seems like we don't have any of the paddles at the moment, so let's ignore that for now and choose the speed, either slow or quick. Let's go with slow for now, just to get the hang of the controls. Now the game can start. Got a nice little intro jingle, and why is it so fucking quiet? This 2003 PS2 game can have a menu theme, but it doesn't have any kind of in-game track. Sorry. I know this is an extremely minor point, but in my opinion this just leaves the game feeling really empty and dead. It's not like arcade-style games shouldn't have music, so I exclude it here. Anyway, let's go. Onward, little ball, to block-busting victory! Much like a game of standard Breakout, the goal is to break every single block on screen, and here there's not only an added dimension, but also some extra gimmicks. Once all the blocks are gone, you're given a score based on such factors as your combos and time. This actually gives the player some incentive to break several blocks in quick succession and finishing fast to boost their score high enough, but aside from bragging rights and maybe a position on a leaderboard, it's not really worth going after, leaving the scoring system feeling quite redundant. Come on, give us some reason to put the extra effort in-game. Several power-ups can be found and are used as soon as the ball hits them to give you an advantage, whether it's multi-ball splitting to do more damage, removing all the specific block colour from the arena, and bubbleizing blocks so the ball can break through them without bouncing back to offer some variety, which I appreciate. You can also do things with the paddle that can affect the ball's movement. Pressing X when the ball touches the paddle does something. I'm sure that it's to give the ball more power and smash through everything without a problem, much like these tiles here. However, it doesn't really last long enough for me to tell, making it seem flat out useless. What isn't as useless though is that bashing the sides of the arena will cause the ball to steer in the opposite direction of the paddle, and timing the slams just right can help speed the ball up to a ridiculous pace. Overdoing this, however, can lead up to you losing vertical movement. I don't know whether to call this a good or a bad thing. It can be at least somewhat convenient, but it can also be a massive hindrance, but more on that later on. As this is a Breakout clone, it uses a live system, and as you'd expect, lose them all and it's game over. And surprisingly enough, the game does provide a decent challenge, so you could encounter the game over screen a few times. If you do lose all your lives, you can leave, or continue further at the cost of losing your score. I like that you're not immediately booted back to the main menu after failing, allowing you to continue from that exact stage you lost in. The game also runs surprisingly well too, maintaining a fairly steady frame rate. Nothing more to say about that, it's pretty smooth. After 4 stages in one arena, you'll unlock the next arena in the same tier, And now that I've finished the jungle stages with the slow paddle, let's try the quick one. Never mind, it controls like pain! Let's not do that again. I'm not a fan of the quick paddle. Its controls are just as snappy as the slow paddle, yes, but I feel as though the speed of the ball can travel is much more suited to the slower mode, which allows you to be a little bit more accurate. Just a tad more accurate. The further you progress, the more stage gimmicks you can use and the more arena themes you'll encounter. Speaking of the themes, the graphics. They're fine, I guess. For an arcadey early PS2 game, that's alright, but I wish they expanded on the design choices. The arenas all seem to centre around older buildings, so temples and ruins, and that's all they ever really are. There's no distant variation to these locations, so they all feel identical, which is kinda lame. On the bright side, they'll have a unique jingle when you start their first stages. By the time I got to the castle stages, I did encounter a certain glitch where the ball managed to phase through some of the blocks, which might have to do with the fact that it could have been an image rather than a 3D model, but it was still distracting whenever it happened.
Yeah, that's nothing. You want to know the real reason as to why I never picked this game up after I first played it when I was younger? The reason as to why I've never really wanted to play it since? It's so fucking boring.
Why is that? Well, 1. Rounds can last for way too long while you just wait for the ball to hit the last few blocks. I get that you need to rely on your own accuracy, but unlike classic Breakout, you can't influence the direction of the ball when it hits the paddle because it will slow down instead. So more often than not, you'll see it bounce around in tedious circles like it suddenly decided it wants to be a fucking DVD screensaver icon.
Except you probably won't even get the satisfaction of it hitting the corner of the arena.
You rarely ever feel like you have any control over its movement, and sure you can try bashing the walls, but you can end up making the ball move in near horizontal zigzag patterns, so it will still take ages. So make sure you don't slam the wall too much or, oops, off to the other wall to do the same thing again. How fun! And, 2, some of the stage gimmicks feel like they're placed in locations that make it seem like they're actively fighting against you. Take these portals, for instance. They can make some stages feel like trial and error. Trial and error. In a bloody Breakout clone. For example here, I think I've got the ball lined up with this block, then it jumps over the ramp and... why is it veering in the portal's direction? Is it pulling the ball in when it gets too close to a certain distance? Given they're cone-shaped like a whirlpool, I'd assume so, but why place it so close to these blocks? That shit's more frustrating than a stuffed nose. Other times they can simply just get in the way, so you're sat there waiting for something, anything to happen. How can that even be considered remotely fun?
Now, fair enough, the game does allow a player to think for himself and doesn't treat them like a child, but that doesn't make it any less annoying.
It may sound like I'm grasping at straws, but it may not actually be considered as bad as I'm making it out to be. But when you're actually playing it, it's a different story, believe me. Even this gargoyle knows he's stuck in a snowfest. So sorry, buddy. So I finally finished all 5 level 1 stages, even though there's 6 on the stage select, and what's our prize? A new paddle. Finally! Let's give level 2 a look and see if the game improves from here. Oh. It reuses the same location from level 1? How disappointing. At least it gives us an opportunity to use our new paddle, and on the plus side, it does look and feel distinct enough to warrant being unlockable, so we can experiment with different paddles. That sounded a whole lot more suggestive than I intended. Back to the gameplay, how is level 2? It's still boring. This is all you're doing for the entire game, and it's so damn repetitive that it actually makes me want to quit playing. This game manages to surpass Devil May Cry 2, Indiana Jones and the Staff of Kings, and Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts to reach the 4th level of the I don't want to play this shit again cycle.
And I can't really say all that much more because there's nothing else to talk about. This is probably one of the most unsatisfying, boring, lifeless, unfulfilling games I've ever played.
The controls, graphics, sound design and presentation are passable, but the gameplay is so bland and so repetitive that playing it just feels like a massive chore.
Even if your curiosity wants you to get this game, don't bother, don't give in. Even if you're an arcade-style game fan, it's not worth it. And I don't know how to end this video, so if you enjoyed, I hope you leave a like and subscribe and I'll see you in the next one.